let's say you just received your paperwork from the state authorities, right? Your LLC is officially formed, and basically everything is fine. You have your articles of organization, you have your certificate of good standing, and you're all excited. But the big question is, how do you get a new LLC bank business loan that pulls Experian? Because now you kind of figure out. Listen, hey, my LLC is kind of cool. Everything is fine, but I need to have a business loan from Experian because my Experian personal score is better. Like my TransUnion is kind of crazy. My Equifax is kind of crazy too. So I want to focus on Experian. How do you do that? And so here are the steps. Here are the steps I really want you to follow right now. If you are facing this kind of conundrum, okay, it doesn't matter whether you have bad credit, fair credit, good credit. I'm going to share with you the logic, the formula for success that you need to follow. Let's first talk about what you need to look for in a LLC, in a new LLC business loan that pulls Experian. It's really important to pay attention to the length of repayment time. Okay, so the bank, whatever bank you choose, you got to think. Well, you got to think about how long they're giving you, your new LLC. Because see, your LLC is brand new. So anytime you actually enter into a loan agreement, you have to be very careful about the length of repayment time. 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. Be very comfortable with the repayment window the bank is giving you. You want to pay attention to interest rates. So those are really important as well, right? Interest rates. So for example, interest rates vary by lender and the loan type. So it also depends on your personal credit score, your Experian credit score. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We're just having a quick convo about new LLC bank business loan that pull Experian. How do you actually get your cash real quick? You also need to pay attention to the repayment schedule. Do they want you to actually pay once a month or every quarter or every 2 weeks? Okay. And also think about the collateral that is required. Is the bank asking for collateral, or is the bank comfortable in terms of giving you an unsecured line of credit for your LLC? Those are important considerations that you need to think about before even thinking about getting a new LLC bank business loan that pulls Experian. Okay. And of course, I'm talking about also your Experian, the eligibility requirements in terms of the credit score that the bank wants to have. So those are really important. So once you have a clear idea about the things you need to look for in your new LLC, bank, business line of credit, business loans, not business line of credit, business loans, you need to actually ask yourself, now the bank that I have, do I have a relationship with the bank? Because the bank is obviously you have to go with the bank that pulls Experian only, right? We have an entire show that is committed, that kind of covers banks that pull Experian only for LLC startup business loans. Okay, so once you're comfortable with the bank that you really need for your LLC, you need to write a business plan, boss. I don't care if you have a brand new LLC with no activity. I'm sure you have an idea. That's why you file for people. That's why you file the paperwork. You file the paperwork with state to grant you the LLC certificates. Now that you have it, you need to have a business plan. And you need to also think about what types of loans that you need to get, right? I mean, when we talk about LLC, bank business loans, you have a constellation of business loans. Okay, it's not just equipment financing. It's not just a traditional business term loan. It's not just invoice financing, invoice, whatever it is, a business line of credit for your LLC. So you got to be really clear about what type of loan that you need. Okay, and you need to check your personal Experian credit score. Okay, as well as you need to actually file paperwork with Dun & Bradstreet. You have to have a DUNS number so you can start building business credit on the side too. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation around new LLC bank business loan that pull Experian. How do you actually get that loan real quick? And please, don't you actually shy away from comparing and contrasting lenders. You need to compare and contrast those banks that are pulling personal Experian to make sure that they are giving you the best deal. Okay, and also think about gathering your documents so that you are clear about the type of documentation that they need. Anyway, some banks are more flexible than others. Some banks want you to have gazillions of documents, whereas some other lenders are just very comfortable, like asking you for 2 or 3 documents. So it's really important to be sure that you're on the same page when it comes to the documents the banks wants from you. Okay. Now let me talk to you about how you can actually convince the bank to grant your LLC the business loan that you need. Okay. Well, the thing here is that banks are very particular, they're very thorough when it comes to approving new LLC bank business loans that pull Experian. The thing here is that, and there are many reasons why. First of all, the bank wants to make sure your LLC, your new LLC, knows exactly what it's doing. That you know what you're doing. That you know you are going to use the funds for a good purpose. Like if they just give you the funds and you just use the cash for something that is quote unquote operationally inappropriate, you're just wasting your time. And the bank. I mean, you know they're risk averse anyway, right? And which means they're trying to cover their ass at all times. So they might not grant you the loan, or they might grant you a small ass loan, and you don't want that anyway. I mean, either option is not good for you, right? So how do you convince the bank to actually grant you the business loan? Just tell them that you are going to use the cash for something operationally relevant. Operationally relevant. For example, buying furniture, computers, and other equipment for your new LLC. Purchasing or leasing office space. So you need some cash to kind of like, those LLC startup expenses, right? You want to pay for utilities and other overhead expenses. You want to purchase inventory. So your initial inventory, you want to have the cash to kind of help you. So you want the bank to actually front you your initial working capital. You want to have cash to start making payroll, right? I mean, you have a good product. You have a good prototype. You just need money to actually go into R&D and really put it into production. But you need people. So you need to hire people. So you're asking the bank to front you the cash to be able to be in a position where you can actually take care of those ordinary and necessary expenses. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you want to convince the bank to grant you the new LLC the new LLC business loan that pulls Experian, make sure you tell the bank that all the expenses that you are going to use the cash for are operationally relevant. And you actually explain that further in your business plan. Okay, so this is really important. Sorry about that. So I want to talk to you about the pros and cons of new LLC bank business loans that pull Experian. Because the thing here is that even though you need cash, you need to be very careful about the type of the type of business financing that you really need for your new LLC. So if you are considering applying for a new LLC business loan, there are a few cons and a few benefits and drawbacks to keep in mind. So what are the pros first? So taking on some form of debt allows you to preserve your personal savings. So if you are a new LLC, member, you're not tapping into your personal funds. So this is really good. So you're trying to divorce your personal affairs from your business's affairs, from your LLC's affairs. You may get immediate access to the funding you need to start or grow your LLC business. And you don't need to sell part of your LLC business to investors. So you can retain complete control, or at least maintain control, because you don't have to have 100% of the LLC to qualify to actually maintain control. But as long as you have control, that's really what's really good. So when you actually go for an LLC bank business loan, you are actually maintaining the operational and legal status quo. So you are maintaining control, among other things. What about the cons? Most banks that pull Experian, they require some time in business, so making startup LLC loans elusive or brand new startups. Like if you just started like 1 month ago, things could be a little complicated. You might need to actually finance part of the first few months yourself with your own funds, and before the bank started realizing, okay, this LLC has potential, we're going to give him or her some money. And repaying LLC business debt may be difficult if you don't have a, let's say, stable revenue. So if your LLC business model, if your LLC business is not really clear, you're not able to monetize your model real quick, this could be problematic. Okay. And one thing I also want to say here is that loans available to new LLC businesses may come with higher interest rates and fees. Even though banks are traditionally known for lower fees, you never know. Like a new LLC startup, an LLC startup is like a high risk. So banks have to adjust their risk models to actually increase the APR a little bit to account for this increased risk. I want to talk to you now about something that you will really love. When we talk about new LLC bank business loans that pull personal Experian, there are a lot of options. Okay, I mean, this is what I was just telling you earlier, that don't think for a second that you can only qualify for one type of LLC business loan from a bank. No, you have a constellation of business loans. Okay. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about new LLC bank business loans that pull Experian for massive amounts. Okay. So when we talk about business funding for your new LLC from a bank that pulls exclusively from Experian, you can actually get a line of credit. You can get a line of credit for your new LLC business. So in other words, you are able to withdraw money as needed up to a predetermined limit instead of borrowing a lump sum. So this is kind of cool. You can also consider an SBA 7A loan. Okay. So this is actually a program, the SBA loan program, the SBA 7A loan program makes available small business loans up to $5 million and repayment terms of up to 25 years. Okay. And funds can be used to purchase equipment or real estate, provide working capital and more for your new LLC. This is kind of cool. And one thing I want to say here is you can think about microloans. So microloans are LLC business loans for relatively small amounts, usually less than $50,000. So you can actually, you have a diverse catalog of organizations that provide microloans in the nation. So if you're interested, let me know. Our team will definitely have an entire show committed to that. I can say for a fact that right now you have Kiva that actually provides microloans. You also have Accion that provides microloans. You also have to think about short-term loans for your LLC, for your brand new LLC, whereby you get like $5,000 to $500,000 in funding, but you have to pay this within 12 to 24 months. In other loans I want to share with you here, you have equipment financing. So your new LLC bank business loan could actually come from a bank that pulls Experian before granting you an equipment financing loan. And this is kind of cool because the FICO score requirements for an equipment financing transaction are lower because the bank understands that the loan by default is collateralized. So the bank will retain the title in the assets until you pay off the loan, right? You can also consider merchant cash advance. Now, banks generally do not provide merchant cash advance. I would say they don't actually offer those products. So you're going to have to look outside of the banking industry, and you're going to have to look for alternative lenders, okay, who actually provide that kind of financing. Same thing for invoice financing. Same thing for invoice factoring, okay? So banks generally want to stay away from those alternative sort of financing programs, okay? Not because they're kind of scared about those programs, because of a regulatory requirements. Banks have to stay away from some sort of risky lending programs, and they would rather just leave those to quote unquote subprime lenders, okay, in some cases. But long story short, the point I'm trying to make here is that if you are looking for a new LLC bank business loan that pull personal Experian, you have the ability to actually tap into multiple funding programs. And as a matter of fact, even business credit cards are also another type of funding. Who knows? I mean, you can, obviously business credit cards do not give you the actual cash that you need, like in your bank account. so you can buy things with cash as opposed to with credit cards. But hey, listen, if you have vendors, if you have your vendors who agree to sell products to your new LLC on condition that you pay them through a credit card, through a business credit card or a personal credit card, doesn't really matter, then go ahead and try that. Okay. I mean, it's all about flexibility. It's all about keeping your options open. If you're a new LLC, you want to keep your options open because you never know. You never know. I want to continue also by saying that, hey, listen, you also have other forms of financing. Okay. Again, we're speaking about a new LLC, bank, business loan that pulls Experian. And not always. I mean, you don't have a lot of banks that pull personal Experian. First of all, you don't have a lot of banks in the United States. You have a lot of them, but at the national level, it's the national or regional level. It's kind of complicated. Not complicated. It's like 10, 20, or 30. Okay. I'm not even talking about the banks are they're considered systemically important. Okay. But what I'm trying to say here is that if the bank if they don't want to approve you, you can think about personal loans and financing. In other words, why don't you just get a personal loan to finance your business? You can start with that. Folks do it all the time. I mean, those billionaires or those multimillionaires who are making cash day in and day out, they never got a business loan to start with. They had to actually use other forms. You got to be creative. Financially speaking, when you start, you have to be creative and use all forms of available financing to make sure you get the cash you need before you actually resort to traditional forms of financing. Okay. I mean, for example, you can think about friends and family. I mean, you know, in this economy, some people have money, some people don't have money. So if you are lucky enough to be surrounded by some, people who are loaded, why not? I mean, why not? Ask them to actually, I mean, obviously the thing is there are risks when it comes to borrowing from friends or family. You want to be very careful here so that you don't jeopardize, you don't decimate the relationship because of a loan, But hey, the opportunity is always there. You can also consider crowdsourcing for your new LLC. Okay. Again, this is if the bank is not actually giving you the money that you need, or they were just denying you. You can even think about for your new LLC, you can consider grants. I mean, there are all over the country at the state level, at the federal level. You have grants for new LLCs, new S corporations, new C corporations, new LPs. It doesn't really matter the legal structure of the startup. There are programs in this country that if you apply properly, you'll get the money that you need. The only problem is with the startup, with the grant application, you have to think about the time factor too. It's kind of similar to a business loan. It takes time. Okay, so it is what it is. Before I close today's conversation, let me just say that when we talk about a new LLC business loan that pulls Experian, you need to understand that the average size, when we talk about the startup business loan, it's usually around $80,000 to $125,000. And it depends on the geography. So, if you move into states that are populous, that are very populated, the loan amounts go a little higher here. But overall, on average, you're looking at the 80 to 125. In some cases, you're looking at $50,000 to $80,000. Okay, and you can definitely get a new LLC bank business loan that pulls Experian. If you have bad credit, you can qualify, not a problem. The only thing is it's more difficult. And the banks, like banks who pull personal Experian, they want you to actually have a relationship with them. They want you to have a checking account with them, a business checking account, a personal checking account in some cases. Okay, but overall, it's totally possible. It's not complicated. It's not hard. It is arduous. Let's just call it that way. It takes time, but it is totally possible. And every day in this country, you have a new LLCs that are making money, no matter what. So this is really important to think about that. And banks do give loans to startups. Okay, don't think that banks are banks are risk averse. Don't get me wrong. Banks are risk averse. Credit unions are risk averse. So you don't find a bank that says publicly, yeah, I'm giving loans to new LLCs. No. They don't say this, but they do. If you follow the formula, if you know and follow a formula for success that we have been teaching on this show for the last 3 to 4 years, you know that you can definitely get a new LLC, bank, business loan. To qualify, just make sure that you always start with, as I told you, think about the relationship, think about your business plan for your new LLC, think about the macro analysis and the micro analysis, macro and micro. So the general state of the economy, as well as so you have this sort of a reversed triangle analysis. You go from the broad to the specific, right? So the general state of the economy to actually to the like the reverse pyramid. So you go to the specific. So let's say what the kind of industry your LLC is currently in. Okay, so overall, it's totally possible. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about new LLC, bank, business loan, that pull personal experience. How do you get it? And I walk you through a couple of things. I spoke about availability. I spoke about eligibility. I spoke about the loan typology, right? I spoke about other relevant questions that you might actually face as you are trying to get your new LLC, bank, business loan that pulls personal experience. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.